I gotta talk to you guys about something. Did you guys hear about the monolith in southern Utah?
Yes.
I don't even know what
You
that
did?
is.
Yes.
Dude,
The
let me
pilots
read-
found it?
Yes. Let me read you an article. First of all, DPS found it. Is like the Department of Public Safety up here. So
What's a monolith? First
it's a
of all.
monolith. So they found,
What
let
is
me read
that?
you the article.
Okay.
So they found a metal 12-foot basically tube in the ground. It's a metal like triangle monolith. Like it's 12 feet tall. They have no idea how it got there. They have no idea where it came from. They've never seen it before. And out of the blue it
Googling
showed up.
monolith right now.
Monolith.
That's what I said.
Okay. All right. Now let me read you this article because it's freaking crazy. So first of all, they found it in the middle of nowhere, right? And you're like, what the heck? What is this? This is weird, right?
Oh,
When
yeah.
I was reading,
That's
I
all
was
that's
like,
popping up.
yeah, I was like, this is fake. And then something even crazier happened. I'll read it to you. A mysterious metallic monolith discovered deep in the Utah desert has suddenly vanished just days after it was spotted by biologists from the air. The 12-foot tall structure apparently disappeared Friday night, according to credible reports of Utah Bureau of Land Management. The illegally installed structure, in quotes, was removed by an unknown party and not by department personnel, according to the BLM. There will be no investigation into its disappearance by the BLM because the monolith is on private property and not part of public lands.
Yep.
We're just gonna
And
be
it was
like,
replaced by there was like a rock pile. Like somebody had piled up little stones.
well, and then there's a triangle plate at the bottom. There's like a video of a guy who's like, this is where it was. Why is it gone? It's like just hikers were able to like geolocate where the photos were taken. And there's just a metal plate and everything else is gone. It's like, what the freak? That's freaked me out. And I was like, yeah, it got removed by unknown sources and BLM's nobody's going to investigate this. It's like,
It was clearly
Come on now.
Transformers.
I was like, no, for me, it was like, well, okay, so the CIA's doing something. Okay.
Yeah.
We got
I
some.
love the excuses. You know, the excuses too were like, well, there's been a lot of movies made in these areas. Could have been a leftover prop.
That's what I was like. That's what one of the excuses was like, well, the Westworld was filming in this area in 2016 and blah blah. I'm like, first of all, I've watched Westworld. There's nothing like that in Westworld. And I was like, 2016. This is crazy. Nobody's seen this thing. It's 12 feet tall. What? Like, it's so crazy, dude. But it's
I
just
was
like,
trying to look like I want to say that I heard that it was embedded in rock, but I don't know that.
that's what it said.
certain.
So when it first said, it said it was actually embedded in the ground. And then I just looked up this. We should leave this link for the
Pictures
people
look
that
like
actually.
it's in the ground.
Yeah. So there's a guy that went to the thing and it looks like it's semi in the ground. And
There's
then
two
like,
dudes. One's standing on the other's shoulders, and he's still shorter than him.
yeah, so that's the first photo. It's insane. And those are the pilots. So the biologists, they were apparently counting like mountain goats or sheep. And then they were like, what the freak? And they landed and they went up to it. Well, then 2 days later, or whatever, 3 days later, other hikers that had been able to geolocate, because they didn't release where it was because it's on private property apparently and all this stuff. So they didn't release where it was, but of course the internet finds out because it's the internet.
Right.
And the people went up there and it's just a triangle plate where it was and it's like metal. But in the video I watched, the guy lifts it up and he's like, what the heck? And there's like metal, like a metal kind of wall around where it was, but then it's just dirt underneath. It's freaking weird, dude.
I got to see that part. I didn't see
Apparently,
that.
there's a
I'll
movie
send- well,
called Monolith in 2018.
There's a what? A
A movie
Oh.
called Monolith.
Yeah, apparently it looks very similar to the 2001 Space Odyssey movie, like the structure in that movie, which is kind of funny.
I saw a clip of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. It when I read this, I was like, this has to be fake. But then it was DPS, who I used to work for. It was them that shared the story, and I was like, wait, what? What? This is real? But then when it goes missing, it just blew my mind. But just makes me even more weary about our government, everybody.
I love stories like that. I think they're fun and it just adds a little bit. I mean, God knows we could use a little bit of distraction right now with
know.
all the things going on. So
Exactly.
I'll take a metal structure in the middle of nowhere for no reason.
Right?
Yep.
I think that's funny that they're talking about that, but like they just admitted there's aliens, and everybody's like, meh.
Yeah, I know. That
all
happened. That happened.
So
like
have you seen that metal thing in the desert though?
That did, wasn't it? The Pentagon came out from that. They're like, we have aircrafts,
right?
We have aircrafts, but that we don't know where they came from.
Oh, by the way, there's aliens. Oh, okay. So back to Corona.
Yeah.
Like,
So when did that
what?
get released? Was that this year
Right in the
too?
middle of March.
Yeah.
It was right in the middle.
Right in the whole thick of it.
This year's been the craziest.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's crazy.
It amazes
month,
me.
man.
It amazes me that the pilots were like, "Whoa, what is the structure? Nobody knows what it is." There's legitimate reports of aliens now. It's 2020. We don't know. We got killer hornets, COVID-19. Let's go climb on this thing. They literally go up.
I know.
And they're on each other's shoulders.
Yeah, the picture I was just looking at was funny. They're like guys on the other one's shoulder, and he's like looking down on top of it, like, "What's up here?" Like, you're gonna have a laser shoot out and take your head off.
Yeah, I wouldn't come 12 feet from that thing. No, probably more than that. If we were flying and the guy starts to land, I'm like, "Whoa, wait, no, you're not landing. You keep going.
No.
We're gonna act like we didn't see this
That thing's definitely emitting radiation or something."
Exactly. Yeah.
Every person who touched that
here.
cannot get corona now.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. It's secure. It's secure.
You're now an alien.
I saw the video, not to keep going on and on, but I saw a video of a guy that drove 6 hours, hiked like 2.5 hours just to get to it, and he was showing it and like knocking on it and stuff. It was really odd how it was shaped though, because it was like a triangle, but not like a perfect triangle. I don't know. It was a little different. But weird. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was interesting. I didn't actually see any other one besides the photos from the thing. So there's actually people that went with, probably YouTubers and stuff, that actually went there and did it.
Yeah, one of the pictures I saw was a screenshot from a video. Probably that guy.
I gotta look that up. It's freaky. It's freaky.
I was gonna say we should probably talk about woodworking at some point.
It's exactly what I was gonna say.
Somebody messaged me and was like, "So, are you guys even talking about woodworking anymore?" Or
that's hilarious. Actually,
they're like the most woodworking we heard last time was Nick talking about whatever you said. I don't remember, but
here, let me. Actually, we got a few questions this week about some woodworking stuff, so I will look that up real quick.
Have you guys even been doing anything in the shop?
So I cleaned mine today.
We had Thanksgiving in my shop. We did it last Thanksgiving. And we did this Thanksgiving, and it's really cool. We like clean out the whole shop, move all the tools to the outside. I hang lights, like these big bulby lights. That's all that and candles is the only thing that lights up the shop. It's actually really fun. And we fit how mine's set up, especially with the laminate floors in there. It just feels like just part of the house. We leave the door open to the kitchen, so it's just all kind of one room type thing. It was pretty awesome. So my shop is extremely clean right now, which is always nice and does not happen very often. But here we got some questions. Here's one from the Rustic Lemon Tampa. Okay, but I'm stuck in a rut right now and can't finish this project. Have you ever had a project like that?
Yes, it's called every project.
I was going to say pretty much every time.
Yeah. I always get to a point in a project, unless it's a client build and I'm trying to get it done like on time for some reason, but I always get to a point in just about every project where you get to a point that we're probably dreading or we're thinking about a lot, and you get that task completed and it's just like a dump of exhaustion. You're like, oh man, I've got to that point, and then you just go in the house, and then 4 days later you're like, should probably go back out there and finish that. And go past that step and start thinking about something else.
I procrastinate so bad when it's especially if it's something I don't know how to do per se, and it's like something I'm gonna have to like learn as I go. Dude, like I still haven't like sprayed like paint or finish. I have an ice gun. I have the same one JPS. I don't know if you have it, Mullen, that Ehrlich's one.
Yeah, it's super nice.
Yeah, it's still in the box.
Yeah. That's one gun too. This is just kind of more specific to that thing. That is that, because I have the Graco sprayer, the airless sprayer. Is the biggest pain in the ass to clean. Like, it's supposed to be set up pretty easy. It's not that hard to clean, but it takes some time. Like you actually have to. I feel like the one we have is actually pretty fast. It's not that hard because it's all in one container.
Right.
So cleaning like the Ehrlich's one isn't that bad. The Graco one, it's a pain. Like, I'm not a fan of it. So that's what keeps me away from spraying so much, because I have it and I know that a lot of the times it's going to look way better if I spray it. And then I'm like, just don't want to get it out and clean it.
Right.
I really don't. And so then I just brush it on with a foam brush or a really nice paintbrush, and I'm like, call it good. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's usually the thing that stops me from finishing or like wanting to finish, is either one, something I don't know that much about or I'm not that good at, or two, I get real bored.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, I have to go sand for 3 hours by hand around all these corbels and like trestle, little nooks. Oh my, that drives me crazy. So yeah, that'll make me lose interest pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, you know what will help with that? Getting a Mirka sander, which is something we both, or all of us, got this week, which is just
sick
fantastic.
Segue, bro.
Yeah, thanks. We want to appreciate it. So, by the way, we are now partnered, the Go Build Something podcast, with Mirka. You can follow them on Instagram at Mirka_USA. I'm really excited to try my sander. I haven't tried it yet, but the setup looks amazing. I've heard really good things. But Brandon has had Mirkas for a while, and you love them, don't you?
True story. Yeah, I've had Festool. I've had pretty much, a few high-end sanders, and I have to say that, at least for me, the Mirka definitely is my favorite, mostly because of the like size of it. So I don't know if it's just me, but I hate like big bulky tools. Like, I had the Rotex and I was like, it's cool for removal, but trying to finish sand with that thing, which they claim it is a finish sander, was like a nightmare. That, and then like drills and stuff, I'll buy like the subcompact ones, like the Makita, because they're just easier to hold and like control, I guess. I don't know. But the Mirka really falls into that category where it's super ergonomic. It's the most balanced sander I've ever used, for sure. You can hold it with one finger on top, and as long as you have it weighted correctly, it'll just sit there. It won't vibrate or jump around at all or anything. And then, like I was saying yesterday on my stories, I forget that sanding causes dust. Because sometimes I'll forget, like these vacs, they turn themselves on, they're automatic. So when you start turn the sander on, it turns on. But then at my day job, I was taking the other one back and forth, and so I'd have to turn the vacuum on, and this is like first world problems right now. I actually have to turn the vacuum on and the sander. Is ridiculous.
I have to hit a power switch.
Right?
My God.
No, but I'd forget to turn the vacuum on, and then it just dust would come out everywhere. I'm like, what? Oh, for God's sake, turn the vacuum on. So yeah, this just like when they say dustless sanding, it's truly dust, especially if you use the Abernet paper, which is like the sanding nets. Mm-hmm. They're amazing. I will say, if you are going to use those, also get like either the Mirka Gold is pretty good. It's like their more budget one, but they have their Iridium, which is like regular sandpaper, but it's got a lot of holes in it, so it's really good for dust collection as well. But that does really good around like sharp edges or corners, as where the Abernet will tear. So the net does extremely well on flat surfaces and big surfaces, or like, if you're not around any real sharp corners or edges, it does the best. But the other stuff does really good around like sharp edges and things. But the vac I had before was not HEPA, and this one is. And I turned them both on, and they sound about the same. But this one has, I believe,
very
a little
quiet,
bit.
by the way.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. It compared to like a regular shop vac, like a rigid or whatever. Yeah. And I'd say like half as loud, probably.
Dude, maybe less.
Insanely quiet. Yeah. Crazy.
I turned mine on today and was playing with it, and realized that you could set it to the setting where when you turn the sander on, the vacuum comes on. We turn it off, it comes off, and I was like, "This is heaven! Like that's pretty amazing." Because
and the cord, dude. I literally was like, open the box.
And the cord's awesome.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Neither did I.
And I've had the Mirka for like over a year, but the one I have is just the cord is separate from the vacuum hose. But this one, it's actually integrated, so the cord goes inside the vacuum hose rather than having like the Festool has like the clips, and this doesn't. This is just all one hose, which is amazing because that was like one of my bigger complaints with that, and because they didn't offer the clips like the festival stuff, so I was like taping the cord to the hose, which works, but you have to untape it every time I want to like, you know, change it out or like use a different tool or something. But
I opened mine today, and I legitimately just wanted to get like a rough piece of lumber and just start sanding it for no reason, because I was like, this looks so cool. Because I'm going from like a relatively cheap sander. It's a Metabo, and it has a vac and everything, but you have a hose and a cord separate. Actually, that one has an auto turn on feature. It's never worked since the day I got it. Never worked. When you turn it to the auto like thing, it just has this super loud click. And just keep clicking all the way until you turn it off. And then you have to just do the manual one anyway. So it's kind of been pain. So I'm really excited for this because I've never had really a higher end sander.
I haven't either.
I don't even want to touch any other the guy I work for says I'm a sander snob. Because he's got like the big rigid ones, and I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm not using it.
It's really nice how light it is. I mean, I've got the big Bosch sander that you just hook a vac into or whatever, which is a big boy sander, and it's heavy and it'll wear you out after a while. And dragging that thing around and constantly.
Same with the Rotex. That thing will wear you out.
And it drives me insane because I have it hooked to my wet vac, which is great and it works good, but when I go to move across a project or something, I'm constantly ripping the hose out of it and stuff. I noticed that on these Mercas, they have the nice ridges and stuff on there, and I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's got like the ribs, so where you plug it in, it's ribbed.
Right.
And I actually use that on my Festool, on my Domino, and it goes right on the same fitting. It's the Festool one's supposed to like go in and lock, but if you just shove this one on, because it's got the ribs, it doesn't come off. So I use the vac for all my Festool stuff too.
That's cool.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
How long do those AbraNet papers, I said their papers are actually nets, I guess. Did they last a good long time? I mean,
yeah.
Really?
Yep. They work really well. They don't typically, I use them until I rip them, because eventually they like rip, because I'll end up, usually always going around some sharp edge or corner or something. But like I'll sand like 2 whole tabletops with them before I change them out, and that they probably don't really need to. I'm just impatient. Yeah,
that's good to know.
Those
we got another.
They have I was gonna say they even have a Bluetooth app that goes to your phone, but to be honest, I've never really used it. The one thing you do have to, it's cool. Like it gives you a lot of feedback. Like it shows how much vibration you've been exposed to and how much your sander is vibrating, which does help if you're like, this feels like it's vibrating more than it should. And you could check and it'll tell you if it's vibrating more than it should. And you need to like change the weights, because there's little weights in there.
Really?
Well, they're just like screws. But
still,
so like I was showing you the pad saver, if you add that on, you have to move those screws around or take one out or something. It's in the book. You have to read it, but it makes a huge difference, because I was at work and I ruined one of the pad savers, and I just put it right on the pad and it did vibrate a lot more. And then I put the pad saver back on and it stopped because it was balanced for that.
Huh, that's interesting. We got another question, which I actually think is pretty interesting. Do you have any sort of progression in trying different types of joinery? So like when you started, like what was your progression in that, what you mostly use now? Like I think the only one here that has a domino is Brandon. I don't think JP, you don't have one, right?
No.
But obviously I think at least for me, the first one I started with was pocket holes. I think a lot of people start with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then,
butt joints.
Butt joints, stuff
after
like that.
Butt joints.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I'm a big proponent for pocket holes, where a lot of people look down on them and stuff, is that's how most people get started. And it's always a good place to start. And then
I still use them all the time.
I do too.
Depending on the project.
And then we kind of move forward from there. I kind of moved forward just wanting to learn more things. And the more things I wanted to start building, like I wanted to build a nice jewelry box. Then I went to mitered, corners. And then I was like, well, I like the miters, but let's try splines with those now. And then kind of go from there all the way up to, I did a dining room table with castle joints. And really the only reason I wanted to do it is just to see if I could do it. I was like, that is awesome. I really like the way it looks, and I want to see if I can do it. and I had a dado stack and the tools to do it. So I did it.
That's
and
awesome.
it's just, it gets more and more satisfying. And with joinery, there's always something new or different to try. And it seems like that there's always something out there for you to work towards or to, try new, to better yourself and to hone in your skills. Cause there's some crazy stuff out there.
Yeah. I'll be
Especially
watching
getting
your
into,
YouTube videos on the Japanese sunrise joinery.
yeah. Yeah.
I'll be waiting for you to make one of those.
That thing's crazy.
Dude, it's like,
I don't know if I'll ever get to that, but that's I don't know that I'll ever be that good to be able to do something like that. That's
I don't
pretty
know how
amazing.
anybody's that good. It's insane.
No, but the people can do it, and it's crazy. But I think that's how you progress. I think that when you start out simple, but you also start out with simple tools, because not a whole lot of people start out with a bunch of really nice tools. And then as you get better tools and as you get better skill wise, your joints get better, your joinery gets better. You want to do certain things that hides the way that you did the joinery. You don't want people to be able to tell in some stuff how you joined it together. And then sometimes you want to show that joinery in different projects and in your hard work and make it exposed to where people can see it. So that's the way it was for me. That's why I like trying new stuff and kind of going from there. Now, if I was mass producing stuff and building client stuff, I would definitely go with the domino because it's instant mortise and tenon.
That's why I bought it.
Yeah, and that's why it makes sense. I know some people crap on that too, and I don't like it because that's sometimes for your shop, that's what you need to do to make the most money and to be the most successful and complete builds fast, and that's great.
It seems
that's
ridiculous
a heck of a tool.
that people crap on that. It's like the only reason I bought it was because I was doing client work, and it made production quicker and better. Like I wasn't making enough money on the projects to warrant doing, mortise and tenon joinery, much less I've never done it. I still don't know how to do it. Couldn't tell you. I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out, but it was always a thing, like a time crunch thing. So it was like, why would I not buy this $1,000 tool and make 2 tables and it'd pay itself off, and then it's just there forever? Like it doesn't. We talked about this with Mike Coffey. I think it's like it makes no sense if you're doing production work. Makes no sense not to get one.
Yeah,
it's like I don't understand. But now that I'm not doing client work anymore, I do want to get into stuff like learning how to do that stuff just because it's fun and it seems interesting and would be cool to have under your belt, to use if you needed it. But the most complex joinery I've ever really done is like half laps, or like I did one that was like a half lap and through dowels. So that was kind of cool. But that was about it.
Yeah. I think it just depends on what you're doing, what the purpose of the build is. If it's, if like you said, if it's a production thing, then you're going to be using different joinery. If it's just solely because you just want to try new joinery, like JP was saying, I think that's the perfect route. Just keep it like try one thing, and then it's like you can look at joinery, then you can be like, is this like 3 steps up from pocket holes, or is it like 1 step up,
Yeah.
And, you can just keep like, I think half laps is probably 1 step up from pocket holes, right? So it's like, that's an easy step to move forward if you want to start getting a little bit more complex. But then you're not going to jump right into mortise and tenon, like straight off the bat, and like hand chisel
everything.
Dovetails. That's something I still haven't done to this day.
Me neither.
Because
what's funny though is like I was also going to add to that, because I'm sure people are yelling at me right now. There's nothing saying that you can't do production work with that type of thing. You just have to find the right clients, and I never could, nor did I really want to. But there's plenty of people out there making money, like Christian Sapp, for example, who lives real close to me. All the stuff he's doing is like super high end, hand cut, dovetail, like what do they call it? Like dog tooth something? That desk he just
houndstooth.
Houndstooth, yes, that. So crazy. And he's offered to teach me. He's like, dude, come over, which I probably will take him up on once all this Corona stuff goes away.
You should.
Yeah, and we're probably gonna do like a collaborative YouTube thing on it, because he's starting to do YouTube now as well. But if you guys don't follow him, you should check it out, because he does some amazing stuff. So I just want to throw it out there that it's not like
Shadow.
if you do client work, you can't do hand cut dovetails. Like,
No, but I think what you're saying too is like if you're doing if you're trying to be like, okay, I want to appeal or sell as many pieces as possible.
right.
I think what you said is correct. I think if
It all depends
you know,
on your client base.
yeah,
really.
you have to, if you're going to be doing hand cut stuff, like you're going to have to be patient and you're going to have to be taking a lot less clients. That's what those guys do. They don't take a million clients. Like we have another friend, Chad from Earl's Woodworks that's lived close to you. He freaking busts out a ton of like pieces all the time.
Savage amounts of tables.
Dude, it's absolutely insane.
Thousands per year.
And he's getting orders like crazy. And it's because, you know, when you're getting that, he knows how to make them with the right kind of joinery, like his specific kind of joinery, you know what I mean? Compared to, he's not going to hand cut stuff. He's not going to do dovetails, because when you're doing it for like restaurants that just want tables that are aesthetically pleasing, which is mostly what they want. They don't, you know what I mean? Most of them aren't going to be like, hey, I don't like this joint over here. They're like, no, I just want this style. That's all I want. Exactly. And that's what he does. So it just depends on what you want.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree. What's the next one?
Let me see if I have another one. This one's kind of funny. So this is from J. Cause. He's put biggest pisser off in the shop? ?
Biggest pisser
That's the whole question.
Biggest pisser offer.
I like the straight to the point kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What pisses me off more. You know what actually does piss me off a lot is just tripping power. Like you have, you know what I mean? Like you have that
in this shop, so. But I remember doing it.
So the only time it happens to me is during the winter, and because I have heaters hooked up, and I usually remember just unplug the heater while I'm working. If I have my dust collection going, which is always on the same circuit, you just freaking unplug it. And if I don't unplug that heater, I'll turn on my thing and it's fine. And then as soon as I turn on my table saw, it goes, and like my lights turn off, everything turns off, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I got to go inside, go downstairs, go into my laundry room, flip the thing, come back. It's so annoying. That's probably my most annoying one.
It's the worst when you have something halfway through the planer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh.
That happens at work sometimes because of the wide belt we have. It's a 52-inch wide belt, and it has sensors on each side. So if the belt, it's hooked to air, so it auto corrects, but it can only do it so much. And so sometimes the belt will walk off for whatever reason. And so you'll be like halfway through a 10-foot or 15-foot slab, and it's like eating away with 36 grit, you know, and then all of a sudden it just like shuts off. I'm like, oh no. Because then you have to like start the feed and the head at the exact same time, or it'll just dig a huge trench in the center of the slab, and then you got to take like 4 more passes to get it. Dude, something was going on with it like a couple weeks ago to where it was just like tripping it like every third pass, and no matter what I did, it would just keep doing it. I wanted to light it on fire. Like I was so pissed.
Mine comes with sound. It's doing a lot of filming and everything inside the garage, especially like if it's a really nice, pretty day out and I want to open up the door and get some natural light in there or something. It'd be dead silent in my neighborhood. But as soon as I hit record on my camera and I start to talk to the camera or I start to build something, the neighbor's dog starts going nuts, or some kid jumps on a power wheel and starts racing down the street. You know,
they come over and ask if you want to switch houses. It's
they
crazy.
want to come in and hang out,
Come for dinner.
But it never ever fails, man. And it's that sound, because I know that sound's a big thing when people watch videos, so I try to have good sound, and man, I want to start throwing stuff every now and then. And it's nothing anybody is doing on purpose at all. It just seems to always happen right when you hit that record button. Yeah. And the dog starts barking. You're like, shut up.
Brian's over there mowing his lawn.
Yeah. Somebody always starts up a lawnmower. I'm like, it's 32 degrees and raining. What are you doing? But power used to be my big deal. But I had somebody rewire my shop, and that's the best damn thing I've ever did, Jesse. So I actually traded the guy a table. I built him a table, and he wired my entire shop with its own breaker box and everything down there. Yeah. And it's a great thing to have. I highly recommend getting that done.
Speaking of power, I just shocked myself earlier twice. for the first time.
Doing what?
Doing your can lights?
No, those were easy. So, yeah, no. I called John Ayala, like, because he's an electrician, like 5 times. And so, and my other buddy, who's an electric dude, it was a nightmare. So I put those can lights in, which worked great. And then we had a super old ceiling fan.
Then you got cocky and you were like, I'm going to do some more electrical work.
Yeah. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have never put the ceiling. I put ceiling fans in before. I've never put this kind in because it was on, the old one was a ceiling fan, but it also was a dimmer switch on the light portion. So it was so stupid. So there's like 4 wires going from the box to the light junction box, right? So it has a white, a black, the ground, and then a red. And I'm like, what is happening? Because I've never messed with a dimmer switch or a 3-way switch. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I get 3 different answers from 3 different people, of course. And so, but the problem is, like, unless you're looking at it, it's hard to explain, and then it get lost and translate. You know, it's not their fault at all. But for what, so I hooked it up the way I thought that they said to hook it up. Didn't work. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to hook it up the way I think it should be hooked up. That was a mistake. I shocked shit out of myself. And also,
why wasn't the power off? Why didn't you just turn off the power?
I don't know, because I don't ever turn it off when I'm doing like lights and stuff. I'm just like, man, it's fine.
I love it. You were like, listen, like they tried their
I've
best.
done it
they
a
didn't
bunch of
explain it very
times.
well, obviously.
No, yeah,
so I was hooking it up with the power on. It's like
I never turn the power off. It doesn't hurt that bad.
I feel like this is the same joke that I played on my brother-in-law with the baby food.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, no
They're like, don't turn the power off. You're
no,
good,
he was like, why didn't you turn the power off?
Keep me on FaceTime.
No, my buddy that's electrician, he's like, I was like, yeah, I just shocked myself twice. He's like, you didn't turn the power off? I was like, nah. He's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't feel like walking on turn off breaker. He's like, okay. But anyway, so what I had to end up doing was so they had the black wires coming through, and so those were going into the switch, a red one coming out of the switch going up to the light, and that was controlling like the dimmer portion of it, right? So I didn't need that on this light. So then I hooked the red one into, I left it hooked up, and then they told me to cap off the red one and just hook up the white and black, which I did. Didn't work because there's no power basically. So I'm like, well, in my brain I'm like, oh, outlets have black and white, so I'll just hook the black and white up to the switch. So then I throw the switch and the 2 odds instantly trip the breaker. I'm like, well, that's wrong.
Attaboy, Griswold.
Oh,
you should have called Nick Key, because he's basically a master electrician.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
He's passed his apprenticeship.
Anyway, so when I was trying to hook it up the second time, I touched the black wire went on, shocked me. And I will say that I thought that it was going to hurt much worse than it did. Like our dog shock collar, I shocked myself with that before just to see how it felt, and it was worse than the electrical on the wall. So it's not as bad as I thought. But I got it hooked up right, turned it on, not the right color light. I was so pissed.
Oh, so you got all that done, and you're like,
Yeah.
I hate the look of
Not
this.
to mention the light, the fan and stuff itself assembly was a nightmare because it's like a modern one that has like the no show. There's no hardware showing, so you have to put a bezel on, twist another on, put another bezel on, twist it on, put the light plate on. It took me an hour and a half to put it together.
Oof.
And I was like, I don't care what color it is, leaving it. I'm done.
Can you just switch the bulb or no?
It's not a bulb; it's a LED plate.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So I'm gonna call
blows.
the company tomorrow and see if they can send me a different color temperature one. It's a Samsung light plate, so they should have them. I don't know.
Good.
That was my
What
fun
happens when
story.
Brandon tries to get fancy?
Yep. Don't do electrical if you're a woodworker.
Yeah. It's no fun. Yeah, when I had to do mine in my kitchen, because I think we talked about it with Nick Key, my freaking part of my.
I've
my
told like 4
has-
people about that, by the way.
What?
Your stove was on a 3-way switch.
Yeah.
They're all like, "What,
Dude?
Every single one."
Annoying.
I'm like,
Yep.
"Yeah."
It sucked too, because when you turn it off, right? Like when this happened, you turn it off, you turn it back on, it would reset the clock. The clock would never be right. Yeah, because when you lose
That
power,
sucks.
it turns off. I was like, I was on I FaceTimed John, Allier, is that what it is?
Ayala.
Ayala.
Anyway, I FaceTimed him for freaking 3 days.
Dude, I've been bugging this shit.
I wish I could. I wish I could find the pictures and just post it, or we could post it on the podcast Instagram. Dude, it was a nightmare. You take off that plate. It was like an extra large, deep plate, and it was just so many wires and freaking wire nuts and stuff. And I was like, oh, dude, there's no way. I don't even know where any of this goes to. And then one day, dude, this was funny too. One day, I had no power, right? Like in my kitchen. I was like, what is going on? There's no like the tripped breaker, nothing. And I'm like, what the heck? So I go to every single plug-in, and I'm like, okay, like what is like? So I'm checking every single one. Well, no power any of them, right? And I'm like, none of the GFI things are freaking hit. Well, come to find out, I have a outlet in my pantry that's GFI, and for some reason it randomly switched. So for like a day and a half, I didn't have power in my kitchen just because the stupid GFI outlet flipped for no reason. And it's like, why is this guy putting like, oh dude, this guy that owned my house, I absolutely hate him. It's just been a nightmare to like
that
try
happened
to
to me
fix all these
too.
things.
Also,
did I ever mention that he doesn't put on plates the correct?
I've never noticed.
Dude, it's crazy.
We've never noticed that it's crooked.
Speaking of YouTubers, did y'all see the YouTuber knock out Nate Robinson last night?
Yeah.
First of all, that
and then
that
everybody's
fight was
saying it's fake. But he
What?
got paid. Everybody, there's
No.
all. I seen a bunch of people saying that the YouTuber paid Robinson to take a dive.
That's bullcrap.
He must have really paid him because Nate Robinson did not take a
no,
dive.
it was definitely real. Like he got knocked out for sure.
First of all, they got paid millions of bucks for this fight, right? Like boxing's insane because
When I looked
boxing
that up
fight,
though, I looked that up like how much they made, and there was a bunch of stuff saying like they were only guaranteed like $600 a piece.
no,
because it wasn't
it was
like
a charity fight.
Well, yeah, that too, and it wasn't like it wasn't boxing. It was just like an exhibition thing.
They made so much money. That's like
I'm sure they did.
On the UFC fights, right? They're like, yeah, their purse is like $200,000.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's their purse just to show up
Right.
and fight. If
Right.
you win, you get a ton more money. If you like go
bonuses.
certain rounds, there's bonuses,
Yeah.
and then they get that's like not on. That's
Plus
has
all the
nothing to do with like
sponsor
the
money.
sponsor stuff with like Monster Energy and all this other stuff. So they're making bank. But boxing itself in general, which still blows my mind, because who watches boxing? This is the first boxing match I've watched in like a year. The other one was
Right.
like the heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, McGregor was like one that most
the
people
one-off
watch.
weird stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
usually the big heavyweight championship fights I'll watch if it's like, oh, this is crazy. Like I watched the
Tyson
Fury
Fury.
Wilder. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was great. That was a fun fight too. But they make millions of dollars, and I have no idea how. Like the Canelo Alvarez, who's like pound for pound best boxer on the world or in the world, he freaking makes like 33 million bucks every time he fights or something like that. I'm like, how does the to me pay-per-view wise, I'm like, there's no way they get better pay-per-views than UFC. Like in my head, at least. It's
I
like,
do know some people that like older people, like my uncle. He does not like MMA whatsoever. He thinks it's stupid, but he loves boxing. Like he'll go to Vegas and watch. Like when Oscar De La Hoya fought last, like he paid like who knows how much to go watch. It was,
But
just,
it isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't enough of that swing that boxers getting paid that much more
Right.
than
Makes
MMA
sense.
fighters.
Duh,
Yeah.
You wouldn't think so.
yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun night of fights. I
Yeah.
watched it too. That was very interesting.
When that fight started, right, the first round, everybody that was there was just like, oh, this is like the worst boxing match we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because
Did you
it's
hear
just,
the ref?
yeah, he's like, listen, ladies, we're not wrestling.
he said, what are we gonna do here, guys?
Yeah. You know that's funny
awesome.
too, because the fight
was
before,
rolling.
there was this huge white guy and this big black guy, and they're going at it. They're real boxers.
Yeah,
and they were fighting.
You can
and you're like,
hugely
that ref,
tell the difference.
yeah, that ref had it pretty easy because he was just like
Yeah.
twice. He was like, "Hey, don't lock him up." They're like, "Okay, yeah," because they knew what they were doing.
Right.
And literally, like the first round of Jake Paul and Robinson, they freaking. I don't know. It had to be like 30 times in the first like 3 minutes.
Did
that
you
they
see the
locked up or
punches
just hugging each
landed?
other. Oh,
It was like 20
I know.
Her throne.
It was like two. Well, no, it was first round. That was still the first round, wasn't it? That he got knocked down.
I think it was second.
Was it
I
second?
think it was the second round, early in the
Second round?
second.
Yeah, it was
Dude.
second.
That was funny though.
It was
'cause
hilarious.
I was like, this is gonna be the most boring fight because neither one of them getting punched, and then he really landed 3 clean hits, and each time he landed clean, Robinson went face first on the freaking mat. It was
I would
amazing.
say he got lucky though.
He went to sleep.
He
with
was
that last
just
one.
like swinging for the fences, hoping.
Yeah, I mean, he has
fingers.
like he's fought before, like he's
Once.
fought, yeah, once before, but he's been training for like a few years.
Yeah, he's like,
He-
I
you
work
could
my
tell he
ass
was-
off. I'm gonna knock out Conor McGregor. I'm like,
dude.
I'll pay
That's
you
his-
$100 for a pay-per-view to watch that. I don't care if it
Dude.
lasts 4 seconds.
is what I
That's
was
probably
talking to.
about how long it will.
So he's got like 33 million. Jake Paul has like 33 million subscribers on.
Yeah, I
not
saw that. I
subscribers,
was like,
not just
Yeah,
YouTube.
on
This is, I
YouTube.
think that's across all his social
Yeah,
media.
because I looked
so
him up on
followers,
YouTube, and I think he's around 20 million on YouTube.
which
though,
is
so-
crazy because that's
Yeah.
more important than
what's
anything
more
else.
crazy is
YouTube-wise.
I've never even heard of him.
Well,
Yeah,
what's even
well,
more crazy is if you
like,
look at
who
his
is
videos
this?
and how bad he sucks.
Yeah. Well, because
There's
you know
a lot of-
his brother's the more famous one, right? So Jake Paul
No,
is
I
like,
didn't know that.
so Logan Paul, he's also into boxing. He boxed another YouTuber apparently called, I think his name's KSI. So
Maybe
right,
that's
I
the
didn't
one
watch
I
this
was
fight.
hearing about.
Yeah, so Logan Paul fought KSI twice now. They went back to back or whatever. And they actually like had decent fights, I guess, like me for like amateurs because that's what they are. But he's got even more subscribers than his brother does. And I think like just thinking about it, right? It's if just a fraction of those, let's say like 3 million, 4 million people that follow him were like, yeah, I'd like to see him either get knocked out or knock somebody out, right? And they're all paying $50. Dude, you're making bank, you know? And that's not counting sponsors, that's not counting how much you get paid. Like, dude, it's crazy.
Right.
And so that's why they do it. They're like, well, hey, we'll just box.
Yeah,
That's
let him in.
ultimately my only goal. I want to ride this YouTube thing out to the point where I get just famous enough that I get a celebrity boxing match. And then, guys,
Do
we
it.
know I have made it. And then I'm retiring.
And then when you lose, call out Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
That's what everyone does.
Who was the other guy you
lose.
said he was going to
I
knock
want to
out?
fight Chuck Liddell.
He called out 2 people.
Yeah, Dylan Dennis. Dylan
I don't know
Dennis
who that
is
is.
Conor McGregor's like training partner, and he's a UFC, not UFC, Bellator fighter, but he's he's like a total douchebag. He's kind of like Jake Paul, like personality wise. You're like, oh, I'd hate your guts if I met you in real life.
Yeah.
Like I could
Yeah,
never
what
hang
I
out
gathered.
with you. Yeah, that's the same thing. That was a fun fight. Now to actually get to the main fight of that card, Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones. I thought it was fun. I actually
I
thought
loved it.
I thought it was
I
super
didn't like that
entertaining.
it was a draw because I
Well,
thought
no, it was
Tyson
bullshit.
won.
It was bullshit because
Yeah,
Mike Tyson
that was.
clearly won.
But
Clearly
I think
won.
they probably had to do that because it wasn't a sanctioned thing, and like
Yeah.
it was probably Jim and Bob judging it from their garage.
Well, it was
Who-
like
who
three.
knows?
It was 3 former champions judging because it
was
wasn't
it?
actually judges, right? So that's why it was
Gotcha.
like 3. These
I didn't even know that.
I can't remember if they were celebrity or I forget what they were. They were some sort of judges,
Not the
but they weren't
commentators, right?
No. They had judges there, but they didn't mean
No,
anything.
that was
we
that
were
was Snoop
watching
Dogg,
it.
and he was
No,
awesome.
I know, but they
Yeah, he
had what's his name too, the former boxer.
Oh
Lennox.
yeah, I forget his name.
Wasn't it Lennox Lewis or no?
Is that who it was? I can't.
It
I
was
can't
one of
remember.
those guys. Like,
But the
huge.
3 judges, right? So they were showing up the judges after each round of like who they
Yeah.
scored. You couldn't tell who it was for, right? Which is
Right.
what they do in boxing. But you could tell that they were throwing it, which is the
Yeah.
big problem with boxing is that it's been corrupt forever, right? And so that's why nobody watches it because it's always corrupt. Well, you could tell it was corrupt, and it's like, this isn't even a real match. Why are we being corrupt? Show who
Right.
won, because the third judge would always go against what everyone else was doing. And then there was a
Yeah.
couple rounds he gave 10-10, which I didn't even know was a thing because I
Yeah.
thought like if you tied, you had to do 9-9 if it was, and nobody got 10. But like to me, it's like a 10 score must system, which means typically somebody has to get 10, somebody has to get 9 or lower. It just didn't make sense. He was like throwing up 10-10. He was throwing up like always opposite of the other. It's like, you're throwing it to make it a draw. It's dumb. But Mike Tyson looked effing good. I was like,
he looked
dude, you're
phenomenal.
54 or whatever you are. I was like, you didn't look tired.
he lost
at the end.
100 pounds.
It's nuts, man.
Roy Jones Jr. just fought in 2018.
I know he was.
Did you watch the after show thing? Yeah. Oh yeah, he was
so tired. But to be given credit,
did you watch the interview after?
Yeah.
Oh, it was rolling because Mike Tyson, they were like, Jones, were you scared coming? Like, were you nervous? Blah, blah. And Mike Tyson's like, what about me? Nobody ever cares about me. Nobody ever asks me if I'm going to be okay. So I haven't fought 15 years. Yeah. Dude, so he just fought like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's so funny. But Roy Jones looked like he kind of looked his age, right? Like, not that he didn't fight good, because he did. He was still moving fast, punching fast.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell
was
he
tired
was
after the first round.
Oh yeah, man. Second round, he was sitting with his arms up. And he's like, but every time they'd be like, ding, 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 he'd like get up, and he was still moving as fast as he could. It was like, dang, dude. And it was credit, man.
It was nostalgic and really cool for me to see, is because I watched a lot of boxing back in them days. Like Mike Tyson, I loved Tyson when he fought, and I watched, like I said, a lot of boxing. It was really cool to see that they still held their own form. Like it totally reminded you of their younger selves fighting. Yeah. Now, I mean, they're older guys.
His hands down, leaning in and stuff.
Yep. Like when you saw it, you're like, man, that brings back memories of watching these guys in their prime actually fighting.
That's really cool.
Because that's when boxing was amazing. I can remember my grandfather calling me. I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and Tyson would be fighting, and he's like, "Hey, rent the fight on pay-per-view. I'm coming." We owned a bar. He's like, "I'm shutting down the bar right now. I'm on my way home. When I get there, we're gonna watch the fight." I'm like, "No problem, Gramps." And I'd rent it on pay-per-view, and he'd come walking in the door. He's like, "We ready?" I'm like, "Oh, he's already knocked him out." And he's like, "Yeah, are you kidding me?" So I got to watch the fight, but he didn't.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, people used to get so mad because they'd pay for pay-per-view, and then Tyson knock him out, and in like 30 seconds, you're like, "What the hell?" Like, paid all that money.
Yeah,
but that's how, like, we were talking last night about how UFC used to be like more stand-up, and more knockouts.
Now it's more like
ground
mixed,
stuff.
right? Like you'll get two fighters that are both jiu-jitsu guys, and you're like, "Oh, this is gonna be." Well, actually, it's very interesting because you had Ben Askren in one fight, who's like world-class wrestler. He was a champion in a bunch of other like Bellator, and he's a champion in one championship, which is like competitors with UFC. Came over to UFC, and he had a fight with Damian Maia, who's like BJJ guy. It was the worst fight ever because neither one of them wanted to take each other down. We're like, you're really good at the ground game. I'm really good at the ground game.
I did watch that one,
dude. They were like, let's box, and it was like watching Logan Paul.
Neither one are not,
but like neither one of them had power. So it was like they'd hit each other, and it was like, oh yeah, they didn't do anything. It was very interesting. But yeah, you get fights that, I mean, what are they? Styles always make fights, is what they say. Yeah. It's like sometimes you get the two. What it is true. Like we were talking the other night. Like if you get two stand-up fighters, it's so fun to watch. One of the best fights, if you guys like have ESPN Plus or whatever.
Yeah, like I can't remember who he fought, but like I said, Shane Carwin, and he went.
That's old school stuff.
Yeah, and he went against another striker, dude. They were just standing there, just
swinging.
Oh my god, it was bad. Just like hit for hit, right in the face, just back and forth, dude. And then that dude, what did they call him? That like Japanese dude. And that it wasn't UFC. It was they call him like something dragon or something like that.
Oh yeah, they didn't fight in an octagon. They fought in a ring.
No. It was like Pride or whatever.
It was like Pride or Ryzen.
It was something like that. But it was like a white dude that was like a military guy and that Asian guy, and they just I don't know how many times they hit each other in the face, but it was savage.
Yeah, dude, I need to send you a link though to the best fight. One of the best UFC fights of all time. And it's between Joanna Jędrzejczyk, something like that, and Zhang Weili. It's pretty close.
I was thoroughly impressed.
That was pretty freaking close. Yeah, that was close. Yeah. Anyways, then did you watch that fight, JP?
I don't remember if I did.
I may have seen.
Dude, you would remember because it's 5 rounds, so it's 25 minutes. So it's 5-minute rounds, and these girls weigh 125 pounds. And they swing at each other so hard, nonstop for 25 minutes. Like Joanna Jędrzejczyk, she's actually pretty, like she's good looking, right? Her head,
I did see that.
Her head swelled up where she looked like Jimmy Neutron from the cartoon. Dude.
Oh, I remember the after pictures of that.
Bro.
Yes. I didn't see that fight, but I know what you're talking about now.
So, like, you can't, like, it's fine because, you know, to be fair, some of the female fights are pretty boring. Even the striking, if they stand up strike, because you're like, neither one of these girls have power. Well, both of these girls have tremendous power, and they were swinging and hitting each other in the face. Like, they were both just covered in blood, and it was seriously like, the speed never changed. It was like they were fighting the first round the whole time. But Jędrzejczyk had a friggin' swelled up head, and she was still coming forward. It was like, oh my God. I've never seen a more impressive thing from females. I was like, whoa, this is like scary and arousing at the same time. I've never like I was
I don't know how to feel about this.
I was like I get my ass kicked within 2 seconds from either of these chicks. And I am a little turned on. This is amazing. But I'll send you the link. It's fantastic. It was such a fun fight. But how was your guys' Thanksgiving since that went by? Happy late Thanksgiving to you both.
Yeah,
you too.
Me too.
I did not do turkey, even though I was, peer pressured into.
Even though we had a whole episode on turkey that we only talked about it for like 20 minutes, but continue.
Well, I was going to, but then we didn't end up going to my family's because my aunt's a nurse and my cousin works in a clinic, and they called us like a couple days before, and they're like, so we've both been exposed to COVID, so probably shouldn't have it.
Yeah,
probably not. Yeah, so we didn't go. So it's just me, my girlfriend, and my mom, and then I just did ribs. And
you said they're not worth buying a turkey for, so I'm just gonna get ribs.
No, I don't like
said.
Turkey per se, and I didn't want to spend that much time. And my mom was like, "Meh," and my girlfriend was like, "Meh, whatever." So I'll do one next year.
I made a suggestion: just get a turkey breast.
Yeah,
that's what my dad ended up doing because
I was really looking forward to the ribs though. And then I got the one package of ribs, opened them, and they smelled horrible.
Oh,
they looked okay. Dude, and now
I've never had that actually.
I've never had it with beef. We've had it with chicken, where I open it and it smells like sulfur.
I wonder why poultry. I wonder why poultry does it more. Because I've had chicken too, where you open, you're like, ugh.
Well, when I looked it up, like I'm like, all you gotta do is type in like chicken smells like, and it'll just pop up eggs, because clearly it's pretty common. And I guess that smell is actually, according to what I read, is salmonella. And that's why it smells like that. Because even if, like, a lot of chicken will even smell like that a little bit, and then you just cook it out, that's why you cook it to 165.
Yeah.
And I guess that actually kills it. But they say most poultry has salmonella, like at least small amounts. Yeah. But then once it starts going really bad, it's like,
that's why you can't like really
throw it away.
That's why there's no like rareness scale for chicken, right? Because you have to cook it done. There's like a point where you're like, this is safe to eat. It's beef is not really like that, right? Like that. I could be totally wrong, but from what I know, it's like it's not like that. Like you could eat beef. I don't know. Could you eat it raw?
People eat hamburger raw all the time.
Yeah, there's certain beef like you can shave it
tartare.
Thin. Yeah.
Oh, tartare and stuff. That's interesting. Yeah, but
my uncle used to do that. He just reach in the refrigerator, grab a handful of hamburger, and put salt and pepper on, and eat it.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Raw. That's what I said.
That's taking a little. That's a little too far for me.
he was a real man.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. He's like, that was right. He was working out with Rocky and drinking.
He would call JP a sissy.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That man never died. He's 120 now.
He's smoking six packs a day and drinking Hennessy. It's amazing.
It's bacon for breakfast and dinner and lunch.
That's crazy.
No, I don't think it is. But I'm gonna tell you what: if it's ever happened to y'all, chicken is not the thing to mess with, because
I've had some poisoning.
Any question, it's awful.
Horrible.
It's awful.
Horrible. It was like it lasted on me.
Like the taste or the
I didn't even know.
Ooh.
Tasted normal once it was cooked. Me and my buddy got like chicken wraps from Wendy's at the same time, same ones, and we both woke up at like 2 a.m. just puking our guts out, and like it was stuck with us both for like a week and a half. I've never been so sick in my life.
I've gotten food poisoning a few times. It's never good. Like whenever I throw up, whenever I get sick, I don't get sick. Like I don't get sick like a small sickness. like when I get sick,
it's serious,
dude. It goes full blast. Like every time I throw up, it's usually like a 3-day thing where like I don't just throw up once, I throw up like all the time for 3 days, and at the end of 3 days it'll look like I'm little orphan Annie. Like I have freckles all over my face because
blood vessels in your eyeballs.
Every single blood vessel all over my entire face is popped. It is disgusting. Man. And so, yeah, I remember working and I got freaking food poisoning or stomach flu or something. And I just did a screenshot. I'm like on the floor of my bathroom. I just took a screenshot of my face just freckled up, and I sent it to my sergeant, and I was like, I'm assuming you don't want me to come in today. He was like, what the happened to you? And I was like, yeah, don't come near my house. Dude,
the technical term for that is called petechia, I think is what it's called. Yeah, I think that's what the name of it is.
It's rough.
Whatever it is, it sucks.
Yeah. But I made a turkey for Thanksgiving.
Speaking of food poisoning.
Yeah. No, yeah. So, yeah. Dude, I made the best turkey I've ever made on Thanksgiving. And
it looked good.
Dude, it caramelized perfect. Basically, what I did was I did the same recipe I talked about in the last episode, which you guys can go listen to if you haven't. It's a bourbon maple recipe. But this time I basically doubled everything. So I doubled the butter, and I actually like opened up the skin, right? So I made this like glaze, and it's maple bourbon. Well, you brine it in maple and bourbon, but then the glaze itself is just a bunch of butter, bunch of 100% maple syrup, and a ton of bourbon. And I just I lifted up the skin, lathered it underneath the skin, poured it all over the skin, just freaking let it cook, or then seasoned it, let it cook. The last hour, I just go in and I brush it like crazy again. I set my mic, but brush it again. And it caramelized so good. And you know it's a good turkey when unprompted, like 3 days after you make the turkey or 2 days after, you just get texts. It's like, that was the best turkey I've ever had from family members. Like you weren't having a conversation. I was like, oh God, it was the best turkey. But yeah, we had a great time. It was fun. We played games and played poker. We had a poker tournament, or a blackjack tournament, and I lost a lot of money, but whatever. And it was
not the strongest gambler, are you?
No. Oh, yeah, no. And I'm going to. I'm actually
like, I got 23. I win.
Yeah, and I'm going to Vegas this weekend, so we'll see how that works. We'll see how that turns out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Never been to Vegas.
What? Wait,
I've driven through it.
You are 70 years old and you've never been to Vegas? My God.
I haven't. And every year I'm like, I'm going this year. And then I was going to go this year, but freaking COVID hit. And now if I want to go to Vegas, I want to wait till everything's opened up and going again.
Yeah.
My cousin lives there.
My brother lives there. That's why we're...
he loves it. I don't know why.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't listen to this podcast because it's supposed to be a surprise, and we're going out Friday, and this releases Thursday.
On Thursday.
I shouldn't have had that whiskey in my coffee because now I totally forgot I blew that. But yeah, no, it's my brother's birthday. He lives there, so we're gonna go surprise him. But yeah, it should be fun. I've been there once, and it was for a UFC fight, and then we stayed for a couple days and gambled and stuff. But it blows me away that you've never been there on like work trips or anything like that.
Who'd you watch? What fight did you watch?
We went to the Colby. It was a year ago, almost a year ago exactly. It was like December 14th last year, and it was Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington, which was an amazing fight. But we got to see Uriah Faber, who's a Hall of Famer, Jose Aldo, who's a future Hall of Famer.
That's the fight I watched when they were in WEC. That's the only one I've ever been to, yeah.
Oh, where you went to that one?
Yeah. But cool. We were so far away, it was like, meh. Like, in the seats. Like, we weren't really that far away, but we were far enough away where it was like, I don't know if this is worth paying this much money for.
Do they have like huge screens and stuff? Or
yeah.
No?
You see, yes, that's the thing. So you end up watching it on the screen and not watching the fight because you can't see anything. But it was cool to go to and stuff. That it was those two.
Yeah.
And seeing his leg the next day, dude, because he just got leg kicked like 40 times by one of the best kickers in the division.
Jose Aldo's massive. But so we got to see him, Max Holloway. We got to see a bunch of really like future Hall of Famers. like fight on this card. Oh, I think Amanda Nunes versus Durandamy. So we got to see Amanda Nunes do like who's going to be a Hall of Famer.
She's a savage.
Oh, she's crazy. Like there's only one person that could probably beat her or actually be competitive, and she's not in the UFC right now. But her name's Kayla Harrison, and she's like this Olympic judo person that trained with Ronda Rousey, and now she's in like the PFL, which is like this lower class type MMA.
Isn't that like the tournament one?
Yeah, they have like a season. At the end of the season, like you get points, and if you make the bracket at the end, you fight. And then on New Year's Day, they fight, and whoever wins, if you win your weight class,
that's so
you get $1 million.
crazy.
You get $1 million though.
But it's like a tournament, so like you might fight 3 times in the same day.
No, I don't.
The one I'm talking about.
No, that was old school. They don't.
No,
do
there's
I don't
one
know
now
anyone
that's
that
like
does that.
it's like a different division. There was a dude on Joe Rogan that was talking about it.
I think it is the PFL, but so
that's what
maybe
I
it's just
thought.
that. To be fair, I don't ever watch. I kind of got into it at the beginning of last year, but at the beginning of the season, they fight basically once every 3 months, which is still active
it could be
for
wrong
UFC fighters. But then at the end of they might do that in like the actual semifinals and stuff. Because back in the day, UFC. Like UFC 1, 2, and 3 or 4
so
or whatever.
Crazy.
They were fighting freaking 4 times in a night.
They had no rules, no time limits, no weight classes.
I loved it back then.
Dude, it was amazing. I rented like the VHS tapes when I first started watching UFC, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!
That's
this is
how I
like
first started
watching
watching
Kimbo Slice YouTube videos. This is amazing."
Just so you know, the UFC started basically like the year before I was born, and you guys are old. Just so we're aware.
I said I rented
rented
the VHS tapes.
I used to
I don't know
rent
if
them
you
from
heard that part.
Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I did.
You rent them from Blockbuster and risk getting your credit destroyed for a $2 late fee. But
exactly.
That's insane.
But yeah, that's how I started watching the two brands. I'd rent them from Blockbuster on the VHS tapes and watch all the Hoist Gracies and Ken Shamrock and all that and stuff come up. There's no weight classes. There was no rules.
Crazy.
It was
Tank Abbott.
Yeah, Tank Abbott. Yeah, that dude was a savage for just he had little to no fighting experience and was getting in there with just anybody.
Didn't like Butterball get in there too at one point?
I want to say
I thought he did, but I could be wrong.
They did have a huge Asian, like Samoan, or not Samoan, sumo wrestler.
Sumo wrestler.
I remember that guy.
He got
they put him
his
against the
ass
kickboxer.
destroyed.
Yeah, put him against a kickboxer, and you can kick them while they're down. He like moved out of the way, pushed him down, turned around, kicked him in the mouth.
They used to be able to. They used to be able to headbutt and soccer kick. So like actually like soccer kick somebody in the face when they're on the ground. It's like
you could elbow in the back of the head, straight down elbows.
That's why it was illegal in every single state. And
I'm pretty sure they didn't even wear gloves. Didn't they?
No, they could choose. There's one fighter that would go to the ring, one glove, and then one no glove.
But he had on like a 16-ounce boxing glove.
Yeah, a 16-ounce boxing glove, and then
shoes.
he had no glove and shoes.
Boxing shoes. Yeah.
Well, then Hoist Gracie went in with
he
a
got
gi.
destroyed.
Yeah, he was bare knuckles with glee.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy.
He would use that gi against people, though. I mean, he would use that gi in chokeholds and stuff and just destroy them.
Yeah.
Yeah. He used to take off the belt part and wrap it around their neck.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem legal.
You're like, no, that's not. I don't think that's right.
Like, he brought a noose. How's this okay?
He brought a noose.
They were crazy back then, man. It was like blood sport. It was crazy.
Yeah. Dude, that was like one of my favorite movies growing up.
I went to a UFC fight once too, but it was on my bachelor party, and the guys
I don't remember
with,
anything.
Where
they made sure that I had no idea who fought. I still to this day don't remember. It was in Memphis.
But do you remember which number it was? Like UFC? No, you don't even know what number. Wait,
this was last minute. It was in Memphis.
I was in Memphis.
Yeah, and we didn't have tickets ahead of time. We had played golf. We were staying down in Tunica at the casinos and came up and were
Maybe
playing
you
golf.
didn't actually go. They just told
no,
you.
I remember being
They
there.
sat
I
in
just
front
don't
of a
remember who
TV.
fought. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Dude, that's crazy.
It was fun. I think I saw it on TV like a couple weeks later and watched it.
Well,
They're like, who's that guy in the background with his clothes on? Oh shit, that's Jesse.
when we went to that UFC fight, we went, just because it was like a guy's trip. So it was me, my brother-in-law Hector, and then my father-in-law, and we all drink beer. So we're like, all right, let's go get some beers. Well, $18 beers, everybody. And they're so expensive, and they're not, I mean, they're tall, but they're not like super tall. Dude, we had like 8 each, no lie, and we just kept going back, and we started every round we had to pee, like every single round, and the people sitting next to us were so pissed. Oh, dude, this was weird too. Dude, we sat down, and like my seat, I was on the end, so I sat like we were in the middle, but I was on the end of our group, right? So I sit down, there's a girl sitting next to me, and I'm like, she's by herself, so I'm like, I just assume that her boyfriend or husband or something is probably up getting beer and coming back. Well, 3 fights have passed, and she's still sitting there by herself, yelling for certain fighters. And I was like, this girl's by herself at a UFC fight. That's very strange. So I just started talking to her. And I was like, who are you rooting for on this one or whatever? And she's like, oh, I like this fighter. He's big. Like, I like him a lot, but like, I like this fighter more, whatever. And she keeps talking. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I was like, so are you here by yourself? And she was like, yeah, this is my 13th UFC fight. I was like, you've been to 13 of these? And she's like, yeah, I live in Vegas. I just really like them. And I was like, oh, okay. And so then she just won't stop talking to me the entire time. She just keeps trying to talk to me. And I'm like, oh, she seems weird and nice, but whatever. And then we get up to get more beer, and my father-in-law is like, what's up with that girl sitting next to us? So I tell him, and he's like, Hector, switch with him. If she keeps talking this much, she only wants one thing. And I was like, whoa, I don't think that's what it is. And he's like, she only wants one thing. So you need to switch with Hector, and maybe she'll stop talking. If we switch, she didn't talk to Hector whatsoever. And I was like, that makes me feel so good about myself, that she just wanted to talk to me the whole time and not Hector. But it was very weird. I never, I wouldn't even go to 13 events of anything by myself. Yeah. I'm too much of an introvert, I guess. But like, that just doesn't seem fun.
I don't
I'm
do
not that much of an introvert. I got other things to do.
Right?
Yeah. It's just like,
I don't even go to like, I've always thought it's weird when people eat at restaurants by themselves or go to the movies by themselves.
Well,
it's so weird.
I've had to go on business stuff. I've had to do it. Like, whatever.
This
really weird.
That makes sense. Whatever. But like, just randomly, like, go to the restaurant.
My father-in-law will go to the movies by himself just because my mother-in-law won't want to go. She's like, I don't want to see that. He's like, well, I do. I'm just gonna go.
See you later.
I'm like, yeah, I'd rather go with somebody. Like, I'd invite somebody.
Your dog has made 37 circles in that bed trying to get comfortable.
I was like,
I was counting them in my head.
Where'd you get your sweet race car seat? Did your roommates buy you that?
Dude, my wife got it for me. It is fantastic.
It wasn't your roommates?
Huh?
It wasn't your roommates?
My roommates.
Come on. Race car bed. You haven't seen Grandma's Boy?
Oh, no. I'll be honest with you. I have not seen it.
I've never heard of that. What are you talking about?
Oh, my
Grandma's
God.
Boy? I've heard of it. I just have never seen it.
Yeah. Nick Swartzen's in it, and he lives with his parents, and he calls them his roommates. And they bought a race car bed.
Look at this. Look how cool this is. First of all, because
move your head. Let me see your light fixture switch.
Oh, no, it has not changed. Sorry. It's hard to say. I can't. You see it?
He got that big, tall chair just so he could make fun of the light switch.
I know. I blocked it. That's what it was. It was like strategic. Yeah. No, this thing's awesome. First of all, watch this.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Way to go, Brandon.
So
I know.
It can, like, recline.
He can't hear us, by the way. He's not wearing pants. He's just wearing shorts.
Purple ones.
This is one hell of a demonstration, by the way.
Yeah.
For you all listening at home.
Yeah.
As a leg rest.
Go watch.
Oh, it's got a leg rest. Look at that.
What?
Go watch the YouTube video. You won't regret it.
No.
Or you probably will, actually, but it's fine.
How amazing is that?
Those are nice gym shorts there, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. All the people watching, you get a treat tonight, everybody.
Yeah.
But she has it has like the freaking pull out leg thing. And I was like, Brooke, she got me the chair, I put it together, and I was like, what? There's a leg rest? I was like, I'm never leaving my office. I got my Xbox now, a beer fridge, a coffee maker, and now a chair with a leg rest.
Chair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm good. Actually, this chair's amazing. It's super comfortable.
That's awesome. So JP, your turkey? We got way off subject.
Yeah, that's all right. We typically do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a few people over, but
dude, 1 second.
What?
I literally poured creamer in here to pour more coffee. We got
And you
distracted.
didn't pour anything else?
I
No,
can't.
I
I just
noticed it.
drank
That didn't
straight
say a
creamer.
word.
That's disgusting. Oh, that was rough. Oh, I like creamer.
I noticed it and didn't see a word. I was like,
What
did he?
what a dick. That was disgusting.
All right, real quick, this is something else I did last night. We were watching the fight. My brother-in-law and them came over, and we made a really like nice big charcuterie board on my cutting board and the charcuterie board that I made.
Yeah, you posted it, didn't you?
Yeah, we had all kinds of stuff on there. It was awesome. But Brian was over with his little baby, and they were feeding him and stuff and had everything going. And my brother-in-law comes walking in, and he was like, oh, man, look at all these meats and cheeses and stuff. And he starts eating them. He's sitting next to me. I was like, hey, if you want to, I was like, try that stuff in that jar right there on that. It's so good.
Wait, what was it?
Green beans, baby
asshole.
food.
Oh.
It was baby food, green beans. And he takes it out with a baby spoon, mind you, and puts it on his meat and crackers, and then eats it. And I thought I was going to pass out. I was laughing so hard. And I was
so
trying
gross.
not to laugh until after he ate it because he wouldn't say anything, but I could tell that it was disgusting as well.
You're like, hey, try that jalapeno jelly right there. And it's
Right.
like
Oh,
green.
man.
He's just like, oh, okay. That sounds
He's
like
like,
good.
I don't really like it.
He's like, it's weird. It's in this like little plastic tub with a little
It's not-
tiny
it's like-
spoon.
It's not bad, but the
He's like, I
texture's
thought it was
kind of
like
weird.
salsa verde or something. He was like, he goes, but I was wondering why you're using a baby spoon.
That's so funny.
That's all we had at the time.
But that made me laugh. Anyway.
Hilarious.
Yeah, so turkey. I also cooked the best turkey that I've ever cooked
Nice.
in my entire life this year. And is that your dog?
Yeah, that was my dog. That's my other dog. You could see him right here at the bottom.
Okay.
Sorry.
But I brine. Jesse, did you brine yours?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't hear you say that part. Yeah, I
Sorry.
brined mine.
Yeah, I didn't brine it.
I did a Cajun brine with Tony Chachere's.
Yeah.
Say it, Jesse. How do you say it?
I don't know, but it sounded like you just tried to say charcuterie board again.
Yeah.
That's what I was like.
Tony Chachere's.
So a lot of
I don't know.
cheeses and meats.
Yeah,
in your
it's that
brine.
Cajun seasoning that everybody likes. But it had a cup of that in it. And
Is it
with the
spicy?
brine. Yeah.
It's Cajun, of course it's
It's
spicy.
Cajun
That's what I
seasoning,
figured.
so,
That's what I figured.
yeah.
Because mine was sweet. My whole turkey was just like, dude, like
Right.
when I put my finger in the like glaze, it tasted like caramel, straight caramel, like the maple and everything together. It was like, oh, that tastes like caramel. So it was very, very sweet. But I have another turkey that I want to make, but I kind of want to make a different style. So maybe a spicier. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
This is the first
I got-
spicy one I make. Usually I do the typical sweeter, or I guess
Thanksgiving
traditional-
style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving style turkey. But this was phenomenal. That brine worked really well. It was flavorful all the way through.
Nice.
I used just a normal rub that I got from, I don't know, some barbecue joint out in Texas. Somebody picked up for me. It was just a all around rub. But it was great. But I basted mine with butter and stuff as well the last hour.
Nice.
But I did spatchcock it,
Yeah.
which I haven't done in a very long time. I did it the first year I ever smoked a turkey. And then after that, I just did it normal in my Weber and my smoker. And I really liked it, but it took a long time. Spatchcocking it, you're exactly right. It was like 3 hours on the money, and it was done on like a 12 or 13 pound turkey.
Yeah.
Definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
It was very, very good. Very, very flavorful. Taste awesome all the way through. I also did a ham, and I was going to do...
Dude, the ham looked amazing.
The ham was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I did just a typical glaze for it, with brown sugar and all that. But I wanted to do a peach bourbon glaze for it. But it called for peach jalapeno jelly, or peachy peach is what they call it, jelly or whatever.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find it at the store because I couldn't figure out where to find jalapeno jelly. Is it in the jelly section, or is it in the hot sauce section?
No, it's in the jelly section.
It's in the
Fun
jelly
fact,
section.
Yep.
if you make your own jelly and jam and sell it, you have to have a special license to do pepper jelly.
You're talking about in California?
Maybe?
Yeah,
gotta
because
be.
there's a
Y'all
bunch
are
of people
weird.
that do it here.
Probably.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
crazy.
because I knew a lady that makes her own, and she said to sell the jalapeno jelly, you have to have a special license or permit because you can get some sort of something from it.
That's the
I don't know if
dumbest
it's
thing I've
like-
ever heard.
Yeah.
No, it's like a thing, something you can get from the peppers or something if you don't do it right.
Yeah, it sounds like something
Yeah, I don't
somebody's
know.
made up in California
Well,
just to
I can tell you
charge
that you
people
will
more
get
money.
In
I
trouble
couldn't even
if you
find the
don't
damn
have
thing in the
license.
grocery store, more or less,
Yeah.
figure out how to make it. So
Right.
We've bought it like so. My mom's made jalapeno jelly just homemade before, and then she's made like an orange jalapeno jelly. Which is that what you said, or you said peach? You said
this
peach.
is supposed to be peach. Yeah, I've never had it before, but then when I was reading the recipes and I saw it, I was like, that sounds amazing. It's like that
Dude.
peachy peach jalapeno jelly with with some bourbon and butter.
That sounds so good.
And glaze it with that, and I was like, dude, that sounds amazing. But
Yeah.
anyway, the normal glaze went well.
Yeah. Jalapeno jelly, if you guys haven't tried it just in general, is phenomenal. It's so good, dude. I love
Yeah,
it.
you throw that over some cream cheese with some crackers.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Speaking dirty to me, Jay. Well, thanks for listening, guys. We'll promise that the next episode we're going to dive deep into woodworking. Probably have a guest on again. But thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you rate the podcast. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. So if you want to listen to it and watch it and see me in my basketball shorts or PE shorts, whatever you want to call them, in my cool, sweet gamer chair.
PE shorts?
Yeah, whatever, dude. That's why I
You
still
are
call them.
3 years out of high school, aren't you?
Well, because I still have PE shorts from high school that I still wear. My wife hates them. But if you want to see that in all its glory, you can go watch that at the YouTube channel. Thanks, Mirka, for our partnership moving forward. And make sure you follow them as well on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. Thanks for watching, guys. Go build something.